Hi, welcome to my video. I will talk about Selenium. What is Selenium? Selenium is a popular open source framework used for test automation of web applications. In other words, it is a tool used to automatically test the functionality of websites and web-based applications. Unlike manual testing, Selenium runs tests automatically, which saves time, increases efficiency, and reduces the risk of human error. Why are automation and Selenium important? Selenium is important for automating and accelerating testing processes. Automatic tests improve software quality, reduce errors, and support continuous integration processes. It's also very beneficial for repetitive tasks and is helpful in areas that may be overlooked by humans. It's mostly preferred in maintenance and regression testing. It can also be used at various test levels depending on your project or organizational structure. Selenium has many advantages. Firstly, cross-browser compatibility, high flexibility, and a large user base, open source and free. Selenium and its relationship with other tools. Selenium alone is not sufficient to create an automation project. You can create powerful test automation projects by using it in conjunction with tools like TestNG, JUnit, and Maven. Let's briefly look at these concepts. TestNG. TestNG is a Java-based testing framework used to manage and organize software tests more effectively. It was developed inspired by JUnit but offers more features. TestNG supports test classes, test groups, dependencies, and parameters, which allows you to flexibly configure test suites. It's also known for its parallel test execution and reporting capabilities. Code blocks to be executed before and after the test suite starts and can be defined in this section. Before tests, at after tests, code blocks to be executed before and after a specific test can be defined in this section. At before class, at after class, code blocks to be executed before and after a specific test class can be defined in this section. At before groups, at after groups, code blocks to be executed before and after a specific group of text can define in this section. At before method, at after method, code blocks to be executed before and after each test method can be defined in this section. At test defines the actual test methods. It also has features such as grouping with the groups attribute and parameterization with the parameters attribute. With the groups attribute, you can group your tests as smoke, regression, etc. and ensure that only these run together. You can also use the parameters attribute to call a parameter that you specified in XML-based TestNG configuration file or another configuration method in a test code block you want. JUnit is a testing framework written in the Java programming language. Its main purpose is to write and run software tests. JUnit allows you to create test classes, specify test methods, and evaluate test results. JUnit is commonly used for unit testing, especially in the software development process. It has the same annotations as TestNG. For example, at before class, at after class, code blocks to be executed before and after a specific class can be defined in the section. At before, at after, code blocks to be executed before and after each test method can be defined in this section. At test defines the actual test methods. Test methods are automatically detected and executed by JUnit. Maven is a project management tool used to manage, configure, and manage the dependencies of Java projects. Maven is used to automate a series of tasks throughout the project lifecycle, such as compiling projects, downloading dependencies, running tests, packaging, and more. It has an XML-based structure and has become a standard for many Java projects. Selenium components. Selenium is a suite of tools, each serving a specific purpose. Selenium IDE, Integrated Development Environment, a browser-based record and playback tool, useful for quick test creation and prototyping, but limited for complex scenarios. Good for beginners to get acquainted with Selenium. Selenium WebDriver, an API that allows you to control web browsers programmatically. It's the core component for writing robust and scalable automation tests. It's allow interaction with web elements, click, test input, form submission, etc. Selenium Grid enables parallel test execution across different machines and browsers, significantly reducing test execution time and increasing test coverage, essential for large-scale project and CI/CD pipelines. Test automation with Selenium WebDriver. WebDriver setup and configuration. Explain how to download and configure browser drivers, Chrome driver, Gecko driver, etc. Mention tools like WebDriver Manager for automatic driver management, especially for Selenium 4. Basic WebDriver commands. Opening a browser, for example, driver.get, driver.navigate, .to. Finding elements, driver.findelement, driver.findelements, using various locators, ID, name, xpath, CSS selector, tag name, class name, link names, partial link name, interacting with elements, and getting page information. Waits, explain implicit waits, driver manage, timeouts, implicitly waits, and explicit waits. Emphasize the benefits of using explicit waits for better performance and reliability. Testing frameworks, TestNG and GUnit introduce testing frameworks for better test organization, execution, and reporting. Integration with testing frameworks and other tools. TestNG and GUnit explain their role in structuring tests. Annotations like at test, at before, at after, etc., assertions and reporting. Highlight TestNG's advanced features like grouping, parameterization, and parallel execution. Build tools, Maven or Grendel, explain how this tool manage project dependencies, including Selenium, TestNG, GUnit, and automate the build process. Reporting tools, extend reports, alert reports, show how to generate detailed and visually appealing test reports. CI/CD tools, Jenkins, GitLab, CI, GitHub Actions, explain how to integrate Selenium tests into CI/CD pipelines for automated test execution. Page Object Model, POM, explain the page object model design pattern for improving code maintainability, reusability, and readability. Best practice and tips. Locators, xpath, CSS selectors, discuss effective strategies for locating web elements, explain the performance advantages of CSS selectors over xpath in most cases. Data-driven testing, explain how to externalize this data from test code using Excel, CSV, JSON, etc. Taking screenshots, show how to capture screenshot on test failures for better debugging. Conclusion and future trends. Reiterate the importance and widespread use of Selenium in web test automation. Mention new features introduced in Selenium 4, related locators, CDP support. Discuss current trends in web testing and how Selenium adapts to them. Step-by-step Selenium setup. To create automation projects using Selenium and Java, there are some dependencies you need to add to your project. You can add these from the Maven repository website to your project. To use Selenium on your computer, Java SDK needs to be installed on your computer. If you are using Selenium version 4 or higher, having Java CDK 8 or higher will minimize compatibility issues. The most basic dependencies are Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver is the core library used to interact with browsers. TestNG, optional. It's a Java-based testing framework used to manage and organize software tests more effectively. GUnit. GUnit is a testing framework written in the Java programming language. Its main purpose is to write and run software tests. Installation of required applications. Examples and codes can be seen like this. How to create a project with Selenium. Environment setup, Java Development Kit, GDK, If you are using Selenium with Java, ensure you have the GDK installed. It's recommended to use GDK 8 or higher, especially for Selenium 4 and later versions. Integrated Development Environment, IDE. Using an IDE like IntelliJ IDEA, Eclipse, or NetBeans simplifies coding and project management. Dependency Management Tool, Maven or Gradle. It's highly recommended to use a dependency management tool like Maven or Gradle to add Selenium and other necessary libraries to your project. These tools automatically download and manage dependencies. Project creation. Creating a Maven project. For example, you can see examples and codes like this. Browser driver, WebDriver installation. Selenium WebDriver needs a separate driver for each browser to communicate with it. The most commonly used are Chrome driver for Chrome, Gecko driver for Firefox, Edge driver for Edge, Safari driver for Safari. With Selenium 4 and later, you can use the WebDriver Manager library to automatically download and manage drivers. This greatly reduces driver compatibility issues. For example, add the following dependency to your Maven project. For example, and use it in your code like this. You can see this code. Writing test scenarios. Choosing a test framework, TestNG or JUnit, it's recommended to use a testing framework like TestNG or JUnit to make your tests more organized and manageable. Page Object Model, POM. This is a design pattern that makes test codes more readable and maintainable. A separate class is created for each web page, and the page's elements or actions are defined in this class. Creating test methods. Write your test scenarios as test methods, for example, like this. Running and reporting tests. You can run your tests from your IDE or the command line. The testing framework TestNG or JUnit reports test results. Additionally, you can use reporting tools like Extend Reports or Allure Reports to generate more detailed and visual reports. Thank you for listening.